How much luggage should we carry to live as a digital nomad? This question is quite important even if you are not a digital nomad, and you will understand why very soon. But the quick answer is very simple. You should carry as little as possible. It doesn't matter if you are a digital nomad or if you just live a regular life, you should carry as little luggage as possible. And in our particular case, my wife and I, living as digital nomads for the last 14 years, what exactly do we carry? I will show you now. So we have one little backpack like this. This is mine. My wife has this backpack as well. And finally, together, we both share this little suitcase that can be carried inside the cabin of an airplane. And that's it. These are the three pieces that we carry among ourselves, and that's it. As you can see, it's not much. It's actually much less than people normally carry when they sometimes travel for just one weekend. But believe me, this is more than enough. And what exactly do we carry in those three pieces? Very simple. We carry clothes for 1 week and we carry our work equipment, which basically means our respective notebooks, cell phones and tablets, and that's basically it. It's all that we need. But then you think, hey, come on, Vinicius, it's not possible. How is it that you can live for years with just that? It can't be enough. Well, in fact, it isn't enough. But the reason why it works for us is because wherever we go, we can find what we don't have here, we will find in the place. So for instance, normally we stay in apartments for short-term period for 2-3 months, and those apartments already have everything that we need. So they will have a bed, they will have a shower, they will have a fridge, a washing machine. So, and especially because there is a washing machine, we don't need lots of clothes. Clothes for 7 days are more than enough. But Vinicius, what do you do when maybe you have a situation where you need some kind of clothes that you don't have? No problem. We just buy what we don't have. So actually, this happens from time to time. For instance, now we are here in Europe and it's winter time. Every time the winter comes, we need to buy some items. Well, actually, not all of them, but every time the winter comes, we need to buy some items. To be fair, we also have another thing that we carry besides those three pieces. Each one of us has a winter jacket, and we carry also this winter jacket all year long with us. Those are jackets that we basically carry on our arms when we are not using them, wearing them. But every time the winter comes, we need to buy some other things. So sometimes if we are in a place where it's going to snow, we will buy some boots. And sometimes we need to buy gloves. We need to buy, something to cover our head. We'll need to buy some scarves. Every time we need something, we just buy what we need. And when the winter finishes, we just throw those things away, or we give it away to somebody that might need it. And that's it. So we don't need to carry all kinds of clothes. We can just buy whatever we need as we go. The same way, if we go to an apartment where, let's say, the kitchen doesn't have all the things that we need. Maybe we need another kind of pan. Maybe we need another plate or something like that. Okay, we just go to a supermarket and we buy those things, and that's it. Why this is important? Why is it important to carry as little as possible and to travel as light as possible? Well, because if you want to have a good experience in your travel, you don't want to be carrying a lot of stuff because it makes moving around way more difficult. So imagine, for instance, you arrive in a new city, go out of the airport, you take the subway, and then as you are trying to get out of the subway, you have to climb up some stairs in the subway station, and you find out that you have to carry those big and heavy pieces of luggage with you, and you are already tired from the trip. I mean, this is horrible, and it makes our trip quite miserable when we have to go through this. It's much easier to move around in the city with our luggage when we are traveling as lightly as possible. That's why over the years we realized that it was very important to reduce to the minimum what we had to carry, and that's how eventually we came to this point where we both have just one backpack and this little suitcase that we share. But as I said before, this message is quite important not only for digital nomads, but also for people in general that live their regular lives. And the reason is because it's very natural that living a regular life, we will accumulate things in our home. We will make our home stuffed with lots of things that we don't really need. We could see this very clearly recently in a trip in Canada, where we could see that in most houses, in front of the house, in the driveway, we would see the cars parked instead of being parked inside of the garage. The reason for that is because normally the garage is filled with all kinds of stuff that are not used at all, and they take all the room, so it's impossible to put the car in the garage. So the garage is actually kind of a storeroom for all kinds of stuff that the people don't use anymore and is just throw away into the garage. So this is a horrible thing, because as people accumulate more and more stuff, those things, they begin to make people concerned. Because, for instance, every time I ask a person, if you had all the necessary money to go around and be a digital nomad as well and travel around the world, would you do this tomorrow? And most of the time the person will say no. And why not? Oh, because I can't. What would I do with my things? So people have so many things that when they want to do something different, they have to think, oh, but what am I going to do with my things? If you didn't have all those things to begin with, you would be more free to do whatever you wanted, to move whatever you wanted to move. So having lots of things, in a way, makes people stuck. An excess of things in practice slave people, make people fixed in one place. Even if they want to go somewhere else, they just can't because they have so much stuff to carry with them. Even thinking about this is overwhelming for most people because they think, oh, even if I don't want to carry all of that, just the idea of getting rid of this, it would involve so much work. I don't know even how to start this. So this is for you to begin to understand that there is a cost, a very real cost of accumulating things. So one of the beauties of this nomadic life is that every 2 or 3 months, as we have to go somewhere else, even if we bought new things in the place where we are forced to again reevaluate all that we have to carry and come back again to only those 3 pieces. So if there are things that are not absolutely necessary, we'll just throw away, and then we restart our life with only those 3 pieces. And this is great because we can't really accumulate anything. In a more regular life, we don't have this need, so we need to create some kind of rule for ourselves where, for instance, like every 2 months, every month, we will take one day or take some moments in the month and we will evaluate what we have in the house and we will try to remove those things. It looks like a silly thing, but it's not really silly. In fact, there is this Chinese proverb that we learned some time ago, and it is really important for us ever since, which says something like this: in order to try a new tea, we need to empty the cup. So what this means is something like this: if you want to bring something new to your life, firstly, you need to open space for this thing to come. So for instance, imagine that you want to move to another career, so you want to learn some new skills. You will need to invest some time in it. You will need to spend some days, some months, maybe some years studying something new. But you feel like you don't have time for that. You feel like your life is completely full of activities and things, and you just don't have time for that. So before you even consider trying to learn this new thing, before you even consider going to this new career, you have to firstly empty the cup. You need to firstly remove from your life things that you don't need anymore. And this means real things in your house, but also means activities that you are doing now that you probably shouldn't be doing anymore because it's not absolutely necessary. It also involves maybe some vices that you have that are taking your time or that are in the way of you doing new things. So you need to remove those things firstly. And this is not something that we are so much used to do because we are not forced to do for the most part. What we are used to do most of the time is just bringing new things to our lives. But we have to be clever about this. In order to bring new things, we really need to firstly remove those things that are not necessary anymore. And the beauty again of the nomadic life is that it forces us to confront this reality regularly. So we are all the time practicing this thing about removing and getting rid of things that we don't need anymore. So I invite you, even if you are not a digital nomad, to consider the same thing. Consider regularly exercising the power of removing stuff from your home. This is good for you. This is good for maybe people that you could donate some things for other people that are in need. And it's also very good for our minds, because when we have too many things, our mind gets confused because we are concerned about all those things. But when we remove things from our lives, things that are not necessary anymore, we're also opening a space in our minds to dedicate to other things that we now believe that are really important for us to move forward. So consider this very carefully and always remember that in order to try new teas, you need firstly to empty the cup. You have to open space in your life, regardless if you are a digital nomad or if you have a regular life. If we don't do this, it's really hard to bring anything new into our lives.